going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Saw review series. We're on episode 5 today. We're going to be talking about Saw 5. In the description box below, you'll find links to the first 4 reviews. Saw 1, 2, 3, and 4 reviews are live, and they're linked down below. Check those out. In particular, if you only watch one of them, watch my Saw 4 review. It's probably the best review I've ever done, at least the most fun I've ever had with the review. So, check that one out. That's all I'm going to say. Now, guys, I don't want to waste a bunch of time here. I want to jump right into this review. I'm really stoked to talk about Saw 5. I did want to say one thing. I'm getting extremely close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm approaching 1 year on YouTube and 1,000 subscribers, which is huge to a guy like me. I know those numbers aren't big in the big scheme of things in YouTube, but for me, 1,000 subscribers is absolutely huge. So if you're a fan of the channel, if you've watched several of my videos, but for whatever reason you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Let's grow the channel. I'd really appreciate it. I've noticed my views are going up, but when I look at the percentage of subscribed viewers, it's pretty small compared to the not subscribed. Let's get the subscribed views up. Help me out. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers, guys. Thank you. That's all I got. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And thank you to everybody who's subscribed, who watches the videos. It means more than you know. Thank you so much. So give this video a like. Comment below. Commenting helps the algorithm a lot too. Subscribe, and let's talk about Saw 5. Talk about Saw 5. So at the end of all my reviews, I'm giving predictions about what I want to see in the next movie. So let's take a little trip back in time to my Saw 4 review and see what I was expecting to see in Saw 5. They're just going to be making stuff up. The only thing I can hope for in Saw 5 is we get some emotional depth. Give me some characters that I care about. In Saw 5, I want to see characters that I give a shit about. I know we're going to get more info on Detective Hoffman. Maybe that'll be interesting. I don't know. Could be cool. It does seem like Amanda and Detective Hoffman had some sort of relationship, as we find out that he was helping her set up the traps and stuff. So as you can see there, I didn't have a whole lot of predictions. I only wanted to see a handful of things, which I did get. The first of which was really rad, is a prediction that I made in my very first review for Saw 1. I thought maybe in Saw 2 they would revisit some of those kills they showed in that very first investigation scene. If you remember, in Saw 1, Danny Glover, his character, and Detective Carey are going to a crime scene of the Jigsaw killer. In the very first movie, they show the barbed wire guy, and they show the guy with the lighter with all the flammable shit all over him. But we didn't get any history about the flammable guy, but we did find out that that barbed wire kill that they showed in the very first movie was actually one of Hoffman and Jigsaw's first kills together, or their first kill together, which was a really interesting thing to include. And I'm just, spoiler alert, I actually really enjoyed Saw 5, so I have a lot to say about it. But I thought that was so cool that they revisited a kill way back in the first movie, which is something I had hoped to see way back in my first review. So as far as my other predictions, we didn't get a whole lot of Hoffman and Amanda's stuff, because I know they have a little bit of history together. Maybe we'll find out more about that. But we did get a bunch of really interesting stuff with him and Jigsaw. That kind of goes to some of like the character depth stuff that I was also hoping to see in Saw 5. As much as I shit on Hoffman in 4, and trust me, I did. Man, I roasted Saw 4. Watch that video. In Saw 5, they did attempt to give him a little bit of background, which I appreciated. So not a lot to predict, not a lot of answers, but we did get some cool stuff. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the main meat of the review. Let's jump into that meat. Saw 5 was released in 2008 and was the feature film debut of director David Hackle. This marks the end of the Bousman era. Darren Lynn Bousman directed 2, 3, and 4, and the upcoming Spiral movie, but this was the end of the Bousman era. Fresh new director, same writers as Saw 4. Film opened to $30 million in its opening weekend. This was the second movie to not open at number 1. This movie opened second place to High School Musical 3. So High School Musical 3 beat out Saw 5. Unfortunately, their opening weekend. It ended up with a total gross of $113 million, which is a pretty massive drop-off. Saw 3 saw almost $170 million at the box office, and Saw 4 grossed $139 million. This is a pretty significant drop-off. But I'm here to tell you folks, among all its flaws, I actually really ended up enjoying Saw 5 a lot more than I thought I was going to, which was unexpected after Saw 4, which I really did not enjoy at all. Like I said, that review's linked below. I was not expecting much from Saw 5, and although it's not a great film, it's just a lot of fun. Now, Saw 5 also seems to be one of the most maligned movies in the series amongst critics and fans. Coming back to write Saw 5 were the writers of Saw 4. They also went on to write Saw 6 and Saw 3D, which I hear is not the best in the series. I haven't got to that yet. And side note, this is the first time I'm watching all these movies. I'm watching and then doing my reviews for them one at a time. So I haven't seen all these yet. So as you watch these reviews, this is me discovering all these movies for the first time. Now, I'm not gonna harp on the same issues and the same problems that I've had with previous films. One, because I just don't want to be a broken record. I want each review to stand on its own. Also with Saw 5, I feel like the series is kind of realizing what it is. It's becoming a little self-aware, and it's kind of embracing the silliness and the campiness and the ridiculousness that makes these films fun to watch. So I'm not going to look at this with as harsh of a critical eye, because this movie is just pure silliness. I've had a lot of pills to swallow with this series, watching multiple movies all in a row like this. And after Saw 4, honestly, I was kind of dreading watching this movie. I love bad movies, don't get me wrong. You've probably seen me talk about a lot of bad movies on this channel, but I like a particular type of bad movies. I like to laugh. I like to poke fun at ridiculously so bad they're good bad movies. I don't like to feel held hostage by movies that are just boring or lacking that certain so bad it's good quality. This movie had that for me. This movie had the kills, it had the campiness, it had the gore. There's a couple actresses that I really liked in this movie. So in my last review, like I said, Saw 4, I kind of lost my shit with that review. My two main complaints, my two main points of contention were Detective Hoffman and Detective Strom. Both the acting, the performances, and the characters themselves just bugged the shit out of me. So we'll start off with the Detective Strom character. So he's back, his wig's back, but in this movie they have him doing things that are so laughably hilarious. I was just highly entertained every moment he was on screen. I loved it. So in the opening scene, he escapes from his little trap using the classic pen in the throat technique. We all know that one. And he discovers that Hoffman is now the new Jigsaw, or Jigsaw's protege. He doesn't have hard proof, but he knows. His instincts are kicking in, and he knows this guy is no good. So he's on a mission. And the first hilarious bit that I want to talk about is this hospital scene. The scene where he's fresh out of the hospital, Detective Hoffman comes to visit him as well as his captain. So they could have just had him come in and just do a subtle performance with a little bit of a scratchy throat, maybe a bandage on his neck to just kind of show, okay, remember the pen thing that happened earlier? Okay, we didn't forget that. I was just laughing like it was pure comedy. How many lives did I inevitably save? We get it, man. We saw you stick the pen in your throat. You have a big giant bandage on there. But he goes next level with this performance with this insanely scratchy voice.
On a gurney with a fucking hole in my throat. There's no one left. Besides you.
And he keeps dabbing at it with a napkin, and it was just such overkill. I was dying. Am I the only person that thought that was just overkill? I think the idea that he had the injury would have been conveyed plenty enough with just a bandage and maybe just a slightly lower voice.
Jigsaw's dead. How many lives did I inevitably save?
But he goes over the top, and it's obviously ADR'd. This has obviously been overdubbed, which makes it even worse. So I don't know if this was just a first-time director kind of making a little mistake there, but he had his little wet nap just dabbing away. Killed me. And then this strange choice by the director or the writer team, maybe it was a reshoot, but this insanely odd choice to have him just go to each little new discovery and just like say everything out loud. Like,
You supplied these police files, didn't you? We were all supposed to die. Nobody made it. You were supposed to be the hero.
it was so bizarre, like some old noir movie, but maybe the footage they originally shot for the film didn't convey what they needed the audience to know, so they just literally had this character just tell exposition in a room by himself, which makes no sense. He killed him and made it look like a jigsaw trap. It was hilarious, and it happened multiple times. I couldn't believe they kept having his character do that. It kind of reminded me of that Troll 2 scene where he's like, they're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god! We're gonna talk about the elephant in the room. Hoffman. This actor and this character absolutely bug the shit out of me. And in number 4, it was so obviously telegraphed that he was going to be the new Jigsaw, or, you know, this bad guy character. From the lines that he delivered, from his ominous, stupid, punchable face, it was obvious that he was going to be the new Jigsaw, just simply by the way they were portraying his character and kind of filming his character. Now, although I don't enjoy this actor's performance at all, I don't enjoy this character much at all, I did actually really end up enjoying the scenes with him and Jigsaw. That was a really interesting and smart choice, because now that we don't have Tobin Bell actually in the movies, flashbacks are the only way to kind of bring his character back into the story. And that storyline was honestly really, really interesting. Like I said, they go back to their first kill together with the kill that happened way back in the first movie. And Jigsaw kind of explaining his whole game and his whole mentality and psychology behind what he's doing. He obviously needs a hand. And all that stuff was really, really cool. The way he kind of convinced Hoffman to be on his side. He frees him and he's like, hey man, you're my homie now. Let's do some killing. Let's set some traps. I really, really dug that stuff. I know I kind of said I wanted some emotional stuff in Saw 5. I wouldn't exactly call this emotional, but it was character depth. And the stuff with his sister being killed was honestly pretty intriguing as a viewer. I really dug that storyline. That opening kill was also fucking fantastic. That Hoffman kill where he kills his sister's murderer. I mean, that was a brilliant opening scene and a really gross, gruesome kill with the guts and stuff. Loved it. And I'll get into more of these kills with my gore score, but I did also want to talk about this kill house, or this trap house. Can you call it a trap house? With all these different characters that are put in the chains and are kind of forced to do their own thing to find the keys and get from trap to trap. I actually really love this. It was cool to see Julie Benz and Megan Good in the movie, seeing some recognizable faces, and let's be honest, some pretty faces in this movie, kind of really stepped up the interest level of what was going on, because these movies are so bleak and they're so like just male, like masculine, tough guy, detective heavy, that having these characters in here were nice. Julie Benz was in, I loved her character in Dexter. I think that was a girlfriend character in Dexter, and Megan Good has been in a bunch of stuff. Now, all the kills that happened in this little trap house, their little kill house, didn't really have much to do with the plot or push the movie along at all. It was kind of just, we need to have some kills in here. If you can accept that, I think you'll dig all the little scenes in here if you haven't seen the movie before, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. Now, that being said, there's a lot of like suspension of disbelief that you have to have. How extremely detailed and extravagantly constructed all these traps were. I can't imagine just two guys whipping this up. It seems to me like even a talented engineer would have taken like years to make these traps, but nevertheless, it was fun to watch. So now let's go ahead and get to my ratings and my predictions for Saw 6. So for my rating system, guys, I have 3 categories and then an overall score: technical score, story and performances, and the gore score. I add all those up, and that gives me an overall rewatchability. As you can see, I have all these movies back here. Rewatchability is huge to me. And now, when I chose to do my rating system, there's a reason I chose rewatchability as opposed to just giving a kind of blanket score to the movie, because you grade and rate each movie differently. I'm not going to grade Shawshank Redemption in the same way I would Pet Sematary 2, but I rewatch both of those movies exactly the same amount of time, even though they're wildly different for a lot of different reasons. So rewatchability is my gauge of just how much I enjoyed a film overall. So first up, the technical score. Now, these films, for the most part, have kept a pretty consistent visual quality, so I'm not going to pick that apart. Either you like the visual style of these movies or you don't. I'm kind of indifferent about the visual style and the editing style at this point. Each movie, they kind of ratchet up that rapid fire editing, especially in this one with the head in the tank kill with his head waving back and forth and all kinds of crazy shit going on for really no reason. It's just a simple static shot of him in a thing, but they do so much to the shot, I guess, you know, just kind of make it a little bit more visually interesting. So for the technical score, for me, it's going to be right down the middle with a 5. These are low budget movies. They're not flashy made movies, so right down the middle with the 5. Next up, story and performances. Now, I'm not going to give a super critical critical number for this rating. It's how much I enjoyed this story and the performances and the campy performances, the ridiculous traps in the house and all that stuff. I highly enjoyed, even though I was talking about how ridiculous those exposition dumping scenes were by Detective Strom. I enjoyed it. They were cheesy as shit, but I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give it an 8. An 8, just because of how ridiculous and fun it was. I don't care if a movie's bad. Give me fun. Get an 8. And now for the gore score. This is getting pretty high for me. Is this movie the goriest movie I've ever seen? No, but it was creative. It was creative gore, which I really, really enjoyed. And I'm going to give this one high because I want the overall score to be high on this one. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 for the gore. Okay, the opening kill with the blade swinging on the guy's belly and throwing his guts all over the floor. The insanely brutal Saw kill. That was so creative and so gross and so extreme. Like, that gained a lot of points right there. When they were shoving their hands further and further and further onto that radial saw to collect all that blood, that was just insane. I loved it. You had the good solid decapitation scene towards the beginning of all those characters in that little trap house as well, although it was like kind of digital. They did a good mix of practical and digital, so I didn't mind that at all. And also that final scene as Detective Strom is getting smashed. Am I saying his name right? Strom? As he's getting smashed and Hoffman is like Dracula style in that coffin as all the blood and guts was pouring on him. That was an awesome ending scene. The shot of him in that little glass case as he just gets crushed was amazing. Great kill. I'm sure I'm probably forgetting a kill in there somewhere, but I loved it. I loved all the gore in this one. I'm glad they cranked that up. So I really dug it. So for my final rewatchability and overall score, this movie is getting an 8.5. The rewatchability is higher than number 3, which was my highest rated so far. I will definitely pull this one out and rewatch it just for the fun factor. It's not a well-written movie by any means. It's cheesy as hell, but some great kills, some good gore, some fun performances. I dug it. I will definitely be rewatching Saw 5. Now, for predictions for Saw 6, let's get into those. I know they hinted that Detective Hoffman and Amanda had some sort of interaction. They were collaborating on some kills. So it would be amazing if we could get Amanda back, kind of like they're doing with Jigsaw, go back in time and bring her back. I really missed her in these movies. She was really a bright spot in those first 3 movies. It was such a bummer to see her go. So hopefully they'll bring her back for some flashback scenes. I'm not really too particularly interested in Jigsaw's wife, Jill. They keep on trying to make that thing happen. We got the box that she opens at the very end of the movie, which I gotta admit, I'm curious to see what's in that box. Curious to see what's in there. What's in the box? So that we got the Hoffman predictions. What do we want? What else do we want to see? I'm just hoping they ramp up the gore like they did in this one. If they can just keep ramping up that gore and making it grosser and more extreme and more fun, because that's the problem I had with 4. It was just convoluted and I just found myself so bored. But if you just give me fun and gore and don't try too hard to make me pay attention to some convoluted plot, I'll be much more happy with that. So 6, I want to see the Hoffman stuff with Amanda, maybe bring her back. So I guess we'll be following Hoffman for another movie. He made his Great Escape, like I said, which was an amazing kill. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I hope number 6 is campy, disgusting, fun. That's what I want to see now. Now that we've gone full camp, full ridiculous, bring on the fun, Saw. I'm ready. So guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm having so much fun watching these movies, and be sure to watch the other episodes in this Saw review series. I'll link them all below. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. So like I said, I'm almost getting ready to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you watch my videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop comments. Commenting helps out a lot too. I really appreciate it. That's all I got, guys. Stay weird. Always be yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.